Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. I'm your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I am delighted to welcome an accomplished and respected professional from Budapest, Hungary, Gabriella Fenesi. Gabriella, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you very much for having me here.
Gabriella is a transformation activist. She's a coach and a healer, and she's a co-steward of the Empire of Love initiative. So, Gabriella, let me ask you my first question. Tell me about your own journey from studying law to becoming a transformation activist.
Yeah, it was a long one. Already when I started to learn law at the university or study, I realized that rules and regulations are only for stabilize something that is already existing, and they don't really help us to make change in the world that I was looking for, because I realized that there need to be some changes done. So when after finishing the university, and I started to work as not as a lawyer, but in the administration of local governments and the central government, I also started to learn naturopathic healing and psychology, and slowly, by the time I started to work as a I wouldn't say healer, I rather say someone who is facilitating the healing.
Interesting. And how did motherhood shape your perspective on life and transformation?
Yeah, very, very much. As my first child was born, I could observe that everything I was taught from classic psychology, I mean the Western
Mhm.
psychology, was not really accurate. And yeah, for me, it was a huge period of learning and observing him, how he reacts to
Right.
different elements of the world. Also observing all the information he brought with himself from previous times before he was born. He had a
Mm.
lot of the information with him,
Mm.
and yeah, it just taught me that every human being here on earth are born here with a lot of information and knowledge, and we just need to help them to unfold their already uh, owned wisdom.
Very interesting. And, when I was reading about you and preparing for my conversation, I was fascinated by this term victimhood mode.
Yeah.
What challenges did you face when leaving behind the victimhood mode, and how did you overcome some of them?
Yeah. As I started to observe my children, I also realized that I am in a victimhood mode. So I
Mhm.
was all whenever something went wrong, I always looked for someone to accuse as a source of the problem, and then I realized that it's me who need to change from the inside to change the outside world, and also help my children to grow up in a way that I would like to
Right.
help them. And what helped me a lot is basically just asking questions all the time. So
Mm.
whenever something happened, I try to find very different perspectives for myself. And I also started to use it as a method as
Mm.
a coach. And yeah, also looking at it's hard when you think that you are already looking from an objective perspective.
Mm.
Basically, you are still in your own perspective, so it's hard to find that very higher perspective, and you can really look at the different ingredients of the whole situation in yourself.
Mm. Well said. Well said.
Yeah.
And Gabriella, What does leading as love mean to you? And how do you embody this in your daily practice or practice in
Mhm.
your daily life?
Yeah, through this long period of observations and
Hmm.
finding new perspective, what I found in myself as a good source of energy is love itself, also for myself. And leading as love is not just about leading others, but it's also about leading myself and leading my own life. And whenever I'm in the situation of making a decision, I always go inwards, asking myself, my heart, what love would do. And then it helps me to gain that super perspective that I'm not only in my head, but also can involve others and the long-term effects of my decision.
Very interesting. You also are a trained healer. So, my question is, how do you define healing? And what
Mm.
role does unconditional love play in the healing process?
Yeah, as a higher sensitive person, I have the ability to see the energy lines or rather sense the energy lines in the body of a human being and also around it. And as I perceive this energy, I can see different patterns. And when I do the energy healing part, it's basically that I use this love from unconditional love from
Mhm.
my heart
Mhm.
and let it flow to the client and how this unconditional love untie the different knots and blockages on the energy lines and also give him or her or their them energy on these fields where it's needed.
Hmm. Very interesting. You also emphasize returning to one's true nature. How do you help clients uncover their own authentic selves?
Mm, yeah. Yeah, as I see, most human beings are living with a lot of trauma from the past, from
Mhm.
this lifetime, also from transgenerational patterns that we inherit from our parents. And basically, I help them to reveal in their personality what comes from the trauma patterns and what is their true self.
Hmm.
It's a longer relationship between me and the client, but it helps them to find their own strengths in themselves.
Well said. Can you also help me understand for me and for my viewers and listeners how you approach blockages and knots in
Mm.
people's life journeys?
Yeah, as also as I said previously, that I see these energy lines. It is deeply connected with the life of every human being,
Hmm.
how
Hmm.
we make decisions, how we react to different things, and also the traumatic patterns and transgenerational traumas can cause these blockages in the life of a
Hmm.
human being. So I also help them to realize that they are there and
Hmm.
it's not them who are causing all the mess when they feel so, but it's what they have brought with themselves or inherited. And also I helped with this energy process I just
Right.
talked about.
Right. Amazing. And what does it mean to take responsibility for our feelings, thoughts, and states of being? And, what I want to ask you is, don't we generally do this?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, as I told you about the process, I started to observe everything from different perspective. I realized that most of us have the tendency to give the responsibility outwards, blaming others,
Correct.
blaming the weather, blaming the grandparents or the government or the country where we live, and taking on. I mean, of course, there are other circumstances, but when we step up and say that, okay, whatever happens, I am responsible for what I think and what I feel and how do I react, that changes the whole game, because then no matter what happens, you can still stay calm, still be at peace, still be kind to others, and it is also affect other people around you.
And my next question, Gabriella, is that when people talk of personal transformation, what are some common misconceptions people have, especially when they come to you to seek help?
Yeah, one misconception is that they just go to a healer or someone, and they will just they just receive something like a Western medicine, like an aspirin, and then it causes every change. But basically, it's always who need to do the work. I just show them techniques and help them a little bit with energy, but it's always them who needs to go along the whole path of the healing. So it's not me healing them or transforming them, it's them healing themselves and
They're healing
transforming.
themselves, and you are only showing them the path.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, very interesting. How do you balance supporting clients' personal journeys while empowering them to lead their own lives?
Mm. Yeah, it's a good question, because sometimes it's hard um, to empower the change when they are in their own life journey. I don't force anyone to change and lead a totally different lifestyle. I just reveal them some knowledge and information that help them to see their own life journey from a different perspective, and that's how they can change.
Amazing. My next question, Gabriella, is what is the Empire of Love initiative, and how does this align with your mission as a transformation activist?
Yes, the Empire of Love initiative was funded by Ilaria Di Stefano and Sylvie Le Musique, and by me. And we aim to help leaders, also leaders of bigger corporations and associations, to lead as love. So a very different way, not in a hierarchic way, but what we are used to in the Western civilizations, especially. And we hope that with the change of the leading way of the organization, we can have bigger ripple out effects on the world to really establish connections with love and not through using each other.
Well said. Well said. How does the initiative, Empire of Love initiative, promote leadership rooted in universal laws and love? And give me an example, please.
Yes, we have courses where we not teach. Basically, we experiment with those who participate, how to expand their consciousness and be more aware of their true self, and also how to be more aware with all the connections and how they affect the whole system around them. So we are not only individuals in the world, we all have more or less connections with
Mm.
other people, with the place where we work or where we live. And as we change our perspective and root ourselves in love, we can change the whole system
Mm.
bit by bit.
Very interesting. I have time for three more questions. Gabriella, how do Taoist feminine practices complement your healing and coaching methodologies?
Mhm. Yes, I started learning and practicing Taoist feminine practices like more than 6 years ago, and I
Mhm.
also started to teach them. And I find it very, very important that women learn how to connect with their own body and with their energy in a very loving way.
Mm.
So it's also about love, not surprisingly.
Mhm.
um, and for me, it's very important because I see that after some thousands of years of history where women weren't in a place where they could really unfold their whole being, and they couldn't feel being loved also by others. There's a lot of trauma in the feminine that needs to be healed, and these
Mm.
Taoist practices are the ones that I found that they are the most effective to work with.
Right. Can you give me an example of some client you have worked where some of these Taoist practices have helped them? And of course, I don't want any names.
Yeah. Yeah. Now my favorite example is I did a retreat during the autumn, and at the end of the retreat, the husband of one of my participants came to me, and he said, "I don't know what you have done with my wife,
Hmm.
but I'm amazed, and and I'm so grateful for you." But the changes, what I receive as feedback is that they start to feel joy that they haven't for a while before, and also they start to feel more alive in the beginning. And in longer terms, it also helps to evolve spiritually, since they have more energy, they have more capacity to do what they really want to.
Mm. Fascinating. Two more questions. How do you continue to grow and evolve as a healer and a transformation activist?
Yes, in last year, October, I started a training, an ancestral medicine practitioner training. It's about helping others to connect with their already past
Mm.
ancestors and help them to heal the lineages that are already yeah, what I've talked about, all the transgenerational traumas could be healed this way, to connect one ancestor who was uh, healthy, all the traumas, who lived
Right.
all before all the traumas.
Right. Amazing. And my last question, how do you see the intersection of love, leadership, and healing shaping the future of humanity?
Yes, that's my favorite topic. As I see, if we human beings learn again how to love unconditionally ourselves, others, and nature,
Mhm.
then and also lead from this perspective, connecting the decision making with the love aspect,
Mhm.
then we can build a beautiful future. I think that's the missing link from
Mhm.
her today.
Mhm. Amazing. And on that note, Gabriella, I just want to say thank you so much for speaking to me. I think we covered a lot of very, very interesting topics, starting with your journey and how motherhood has shaped your own perspective. You shared with us your thoughts on victimhood mode. We also spoke about leading as love. We spoke about healing. You were kind enough to tell me you have the ability to actually see blockages and knots as you look at people. We also spoke about the empire of love, the Taoist feminine practices, and finally, we spoke about love, leadership, and healing and how this could shape the world. Thank you for speaking to me, and good luck to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.